Hey, anything else named shut up?
I feel your pain.
Well, it's bad when you go overseas. I got stationed overseas, and I had somebody harass me at the shop at. Like, she couldn't speak, but maybe 4 words of English. She goes, "Ha ha, you got a good name." I'm like,
You say my middle name's Sue?
no, but I did go through that whole period. It's like 2nd grade. I didn't want to go by my first name. What's like your middle name? Only. I never answered to it.
So you guys aren't gonna be able to vote.
This isn't,
This is,
This isn't a vote, this is just.
This is just
I know Bill was one of the people and Justin was the other, okay?
A new guy at work, his first name was Shannon, last name was Leslie.
no.
Alright, so president's statement. Okay, so here it is. I've sat down about 100 times to write my final president's message, and every time it became more difficult. So I'll make this short and sweet. Thank you. Thank you for making my job as president fun and actually easy. Your willingness to volunteer over and over, to step up whenever needed, is what makes this theater unstoppable. I'm excited to see what comes in the next 50 years. Yes, we will be back as soon as that lobby is done. Thank you for an incredible 50th season. Thank you for making my directorial dream come true. And thank you for all the support, kindness, and love you've all shown my family over the past 4 years. Thank you.
You weren't here
Okay,
before
we
you.
moved last. And then we're here till the 27th. He's here till the 17th.
And if I could have that to be able to put into the notes.
Finishing up school year.
Okay, so treasurer report.
Treasurer's report.
We don't have to do that. That's
That will come.
We don't.
Yeah, we're good. Great.
End of year, yep.
For the most part, everybody's received all of these, so you don't have to read your whole report. Everybody can do that, but if you want to touch on a few important things, or if people have questions about your report, we'll go with that. Okay?
Grant report, yeah, I won't read it to you, except I left that Rundry off the list, so I added them. Just be aware of that. This is right now, it's in my computer, but I'll move it to Dropbox so everybody has it. That can wait. No, so I think you can read what I put in there and think about it. Yeah, I made some suggestions for how things are organized. I know that's not what's currently in our bylaws or how we've done things, but there's some logic to it, so I think it'll be good to think about. That's it.
After seeing all those, I just want to say thank you for all your work and like looking through those and deciding and writing them, and that's a lot of work. So thank you. I appreciate that.
So some of the best grant reporting that we ever had.
Social media, you're up, lady.
All right.
You're doing crew, not me.
Ashley, are we playing?
So just really quickly, our social media platforms continue to grow significantly. They've had a huge increase from last year, which is awesome. Facebook continues to be our more popular social media platform, which is totally normal. More people have Facebook. Instagram is coming along really nicely. Our giveaways have been very successful this year. See how they run resulted in having the people who won ended up booking additional tickets, which was great, and that's exactly what we want to have happen. Clue is blowing everything out of the water. It is just alive, so which is awesome, and I can't wait to see what the final result of that is going to be. Our ads, we run our ads through Facebook, but they populate on Facebook and Instagram. They've been very successful. We've had a lot of traffic to our ticketing site because of them, so I highly recommend continuing doing that. Our best one was the Diagram Frank. Over 6,000 people saw that ad, which is awesome. And then YouTube is basically just a catch-all for all of our videos. And I would like to propose deactivating our Twitter. It's very stagnant. We have not increased in followers at all. I personally don't love updating it. So with the board's approval, I would like to deactivate our Twitter and not even worry about that thing anymore.
Go for it.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Great. Any other discussion? All those in favor of deactivating Twitter? All those opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. You done?
Yeah, I'm done unless there's any questions.
Box office.
Box office, we've been using the Arts People ticketing site since 2015. It's very successful, I think. It's not necessarily cheap to operate, but the vast majority of our ticket sales are done online and paid for by credit card. So the credit card fees are just kind of something we need to accept that that's going to happen. We paid $2,300 in ticketing fees so far this year, but we've taken in $40,000 worth of ticket sales.
On that 23,000, is that
2,300.
combined of the 2,300?
That's just ticketing.
2,300, is that
Way better.
combined of the arts people fee and
No.
the,
That's just the ticketing fee.
that's
And you
credit
pay a
card fee?
ticketing fee even when they come to the box office and pay cash, you still pay a ticketing fee.
Okay, so that's the arts people.
Or speaking
Yeah.
charge.
That's not
Not
the
the
credit
credit
card.
card.
I do have a question on that, and maybe I've asked it before, but if somebody is coming and paying cash, why would we need, and it's right at the counter, why would we need to pay the ticket?
Because you still have
It's still
to put
going
a
through our
ticket in,
people.
so the seat is sold. So the seat is sold, so we don't resell it to somebody else,
Oh, they
otherwise
won't.
we are, it's for the purpose.
You're welcome to
of
sit
the
in on
record.
the board meeting.
Yeah.
Or you can just wait somewhere else,
Hang on.
but either way you wanna do, Phil.
Yeah, why aren't you on the
Do
board?
you,
Everybody keeps asking me. No, I'm about to leave here soon, so I just try to help out as much as I can until I leave.
do we have an idea of what the arts people, total would be?
I meant to get that, it's probably right around the same as the ticket fee.
Well, if, in the next couple of days you get me
Yeah,
that,
I
I
can
can
get
include it
that,
in the
yeah.
report.
I meant to print it off, but I didn't.
And then I had a question with the annual report that you printed out. And again, this is just a question. Because Nancy and I have been having our fun with attendance and stuff like that, I noticed that the counts that are on this report differ from the accounts that are on the individual show report attendance that are in the Dropbox. They differ.
Significantly.
Well, for example, Dirty Works, from the show reports was 356. Here it is 324. Alice in Wonderland was 1,006, but here it's 986. Anne Frank was 800, but here is 759. And See How They Run was 653 as compared to 617.
I think the difference is the comp tickets are not on that count.
So it's possibly the
Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
comp tickets.
Any other questions for box office?
Do we pay a fee on it? Just real quick, do we pay a fee on the comp tickets?
You good?
Yep.
All right, moving on to house.
I find it. Probably the biggest thing that Nancy and I would be interested in putting out on the house report, and I don't know where the heck it is. It's not in here in this mess, I'll have to print it out. Is basically, it would be really nice if there would be at least one more person to join the House Committee. Mostly because
we're down to, especially when Randy leaves, we're down to me and Nancy, two, 70-year-olds trying to, do things. All that it is, for people who don't know, Nancy and I try and keep up with minor repair type stuff and minor projects. We try and make sure things our trash is thrown away and stains are picked up and that kind of thing. We work with the House Repair Committee, who deals with the major factors. So if anybody's interested at any point, we would love to be able to have you come by. Our meetings these days are basically, we have coffee Wednesday mornings at Prairie Sky
And they're
Bread.
fun, so go ahead.
And we talk about all the things that we need to work at.
Solve the world.
Yeah, we have coffee and solve the world's problems. So that's basically how people have been pretty good about doing projects, trying to keep things up with the house cleaning and stuff like that. And we appreciate all the help that has been shown. So,
Thank you. Any questions for House?
I'm walking out about it, I won't be able to attend the meeting.
yeah. We might have other better meetings.
Concessions.
Wise. Concessions.
Big thing is, just recently, Brittany and I have been pretty much manning the concessions for all the shows this year. This wasn't so much to close other people out, it was mostly so that we could start tracking and recording inventories and best practices and what works best and things like that. And I think we've got a pretty good handle on it. Average income works out to about $1.25 per attendee, which is pretty darn good considering our sodas are $1 and our popcorn is $1 and stuff like that. So that's pretty good.
Popcorn's a big seller.
Popcorn's a big seller. Water. Oh Lord, is water a big seller?
Well, yeah, popcorn is salty.
It was big before. And the other thing, we're gonna try and create a heavyweight drape that can be closed over the opening during a show. That's the biggest thing. And I would like to request bumping the seed money to $75, because that way we can have enough fives available for
I was
that.
thinking at the
initial.
last meeting, we'd already discussed that 75 or 100, whichever to have enough,
Yeah. But that's pretty good. I got the long story is on record.
Thank you.
If I may, I have a question for concessions. This is something that I recently discovered. Do you have enough oil for Clue?
I went out and we bought 2 brand new tubs to have on hand. So we're
Because
good.
last time I was in Minot Restaurant Supply, they
They
did not know if
still
they
don't
were
have
getting
it.
it. So I ordered on Amazon.
Yes, that's basically what we did, and also the 3E boxes, because they haven't been carrying the 1.25.
I got their last box.
I periodically go over,
Well, actually,
talk
no, I
to
have
them
the 4E,
and find out
so.
what the status is, but yeah, I think we're gonna be down to having to order on Amazon when we get close, but yes.
When I was in there, I thought about you guys and went, well, and I haven't had a chance to ask.
Thanks.
I panicked.
All right, kids programs.
Okay, so that's me. Basically we had the Missoula Children's. There was 5 of us that went up to the Civil Center in Stanley and did an outreach kids class. And then in November, we had Alice in Wonderland with our family show. My biggest regret is that we didn't quite, get our March, kids programming done, because there was so much other stuff going on that we were just spread too thin to try and add one more thing, So I guess all I can say is we'll attempt to do better next year. You know, but anyway, the March programming next year will be on the Elms show. So, you know, that probably will take care of itself. What's her name? Sarah Bloom is more than willing to help with this, you know, so, you know, I can't forget her I won't forget her. I never forget a volunteer. And sometimes I don't forget those that have talent, so, but anyway. Mhm.
Just a quick question, just in terms of grant writing,
Uh-huh.
grants to support, do we have a name for, the summer kids program, since we're not doing Missoula, but we're gonna do that internally? It just helps to have a name when you're,
I don't know.
I'm calling it the MRP Kids Program, but if
Well,
there's another name, I'll call it.
we used to call it the Mini Mousers, but I think that's kind of obsolete now at this
Yeah.
point. We've been calling it the youth program.
Youth Program?
Yeah. So MRP youth,
Maybe if we put summer youth program.
yeah, that would
I
work.
think we run it like year round,
Okay,
so
Yeah.
it is a seasonal thing.
Seasonal thing,
just
maybe.
gives me a moniker to hang.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Yep.
before we proceed too far with any kind of granting and stuff like that, with Heather departing, initial plans for the summer youth situation probably are on hold, I'm going to assume, at this point. And Brittany's not here.
Well, I
We had
think
talked to
Holly
Brittany
talked to
last
Brittany, but yeah,
meeting.
maybe that's.
She sounded still interested in it on.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
and Lynn, I
Yeah.
offered to,
Yeah.
So
to
if-
step in and help.
Yeah, but I think we need to make sure that
She
everybody's
wants to-
communicating,
Yeah, well,
everybody's
that's right.
communicating.
Any other things for the youth program?
No, just do better.
You're doing great, don't worry.
The only thing I would suggest is that, we make sure that, the shows Holly picks are good ones, but,
I have
Making
room
sure
for
that-
50 kids.
yeah, making sure that, they're light and they're bright and stuff like that, and not too.
I agree with that, and, as much as Alice was beautiful and well done and all, it would have been nice if we could add a few more kids, but.
There wasn't enough room.
I know, that's
There
just the
wasn't
way it
enough
goes.
characters.
So, that's just the way it goes, sometimes that happens. So, but we'll work on it,
It was not a good show.
Well, it was,
That version isn't, no.
it's a family show, so then we have to remember that
Right,
part
that
of
was
it.
supposed to be our family.
Family show, so,
Yeah.
so, I mean, whatever,
That's passed.
it is what it is.
Alright.
It was beautiful, so.
You want to go again?
Oh,
Or Ken?
Sure, well, Ken gave me the information and, we put out 20 newsletters. And, basically just kind of updating and more, recapping after a show, trying to, promote before. You should have, because I included that when I sent it to Lynn, all the information about what they were. So,
Yes, I have an extended,
yes, you have an extended piece of.
I have to figure out how I'm going to work that out for the,
If you just get the first couple of pages of that, probably will do fine, but.
Thank you guys for putting those together, and remember, if anybody has articles that they want to write, these two are more than happy to have
Yeah.
your
We'd add your article, doesn't have to be me writing.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Fundraising.
So with the Spears leaving, that leaves just me and Trinity on the committee. So it would be lovely if there could be more.
I would have to do volunteers.
Where is my so we had. Hey, thanks. So we did the Starving Rooster, 427, Slim Chickens, 335.35. The Jersey Mikes and the lapel pins were big. We got 515 from Jersey Mikes and 460
from the lapel pins.
Isn't it?
And,
Yeah,
yeah,
I know.
What was the Jersey Mike's that you had?
515.
Okay,
515.
I think there was,
Was- Were there more after?
Deposit. Yeah.
And there's more to sell this show too. If we
Yeah.
have a
There's
table
some
set up.
unsold.
There was one show, See How They Run, where we didn't sell anything, and then there was one where we like literally could not sell them fast enough. And there was one guy that was just like, I'll take one, here's like $40 or something crazy. He's just like, I'll make a donation. I'm like, are you sure you don't want? Yeah.
Yeah, see, you have a lot of clothes. I mean, I have about one on every piece of, that I have.
Yeah.
I never remember to take them off.
Well, this has all been good for the theater, so thanks for all your hard work and good job.
I would like to make one point with fundraising, in that we are working on a capital campaign, and in that our income from shows is sufficient to cover production costs. I would like to propose a motion that all fundraising efforts for the duration be directed to the capital campaign rather than the general fund. People are much more willing to give to a specific project, I think, than they are to the general kitty. So I would propose that as a motion.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion to have all fundraisers from here on till the end of the capital campaign go to the capital campaign. And then the second, any discussion?
So what is our current deadline on financing the capital campaign for the renovation? What goal are we looking at to have this done by?
That requires some board discussion, and that would require looking at the report I did on the capital campaign as a board, and talking about the issues I raised in the
It's not necessarily a calendar deadline that we can work on, it's a fundraising deadline. When we raise sufficient funds to go forward, then we will go forward. At this point, obviously it's not going to happen this calendar year. If things fall into place, maybe next.
And obviously, we have more needs around here than just the capital campaign. We do, and as a board, we have to take that into consideration. What we really need is a budget. We need for the theater. We have budgets for shows, kind of, but we need a budget for the theater as a whole. So we need to decide what percentage of our intake after expenses go to repairs, building maintenance, the capital campaign, if we're gonna budget for that as well. And so using the dollars that come in from fundraising toward the capital campaign is one way of doing it. Without a budget, however, we're gonna have a problem in the other area, but the finance committee is already committed to developing that budget. The problem was when we first started to look at it, we didn't have enough information to be able to budget well. And so now we have a lot better information, and we're going to be able to do that. Just to kind of put it in perspective.
I don't know if this is a discussion right now for the annual meeting. I think it's something that if we're gonna bring it to the board and have it as a board discussion, I think it needs to be discussed and then it needs to be voted on. I would make a motion that we hold on this until either Monday and talk about it on as an agenda item on that, and then look at voting on it. And it's a good proposal. I'm not saying it's not a good proposal. I understand it. I do have some reservations about it, but Kathy brings up some good points. So that would be my thing, would be to hold on this until either the next board meeting, just to make sure that, we have a good round of discussion.
And hopefully the rest of our membership can be there.
Yeah.
I will second that motion.
So now we have two motions.
I move to table it.
If you need so point of order, a motion to table is gonna take precedence over the other motion, and there is no discussion on a motion to table.
Thank you.
So a motion and a second goes straight to vote.
Woo! Okay, so we will,
There you go.
all those in favor of tabling this
So
until,
there's no vote on the table.
no vote on this?
No, there is a vote on the table, it
Vote on
goes
the
straight
table.
to vote, there's no discussion.
There's no discussion, I apologize.
All those in favor of tabling this until Monday's meeting? All those opposed?
Yeah, how are we gonna do Monday's meeting? Cause the
I'm not
president,
doing
Oh,
the
vice
right.
president, me and you, we're all,
You guys will have to figure that out, sorry.
another 20 minutes and then figure it out.
Art, what time were you planning on starting your show,
Rehearsal is gonna be at 6:30.
even though it's
Yeah.
technically?
Yeah, because we don't have piano player that night. So it's gonna be
Can
Lions.
that be moved to 7? So that we could get the vote done?
I think it's right.
Thank you.
All those opposed? All those abstain? Motion
Oh, that's the table.
to table. Okay, Susan?
Season, well, it's done, it's ready, and obviously we've got this out. I think it was about 4 meetings, give or take,
I think so.
that, I kind of, lost track in there. And, what happened was people who hadn't been, on the list for this year, as directors, then stepped forward, so all of the directors directed 2 years ago or more. And so they came up with some things that they were willing to do. And we kind of hashed out when, they were willing to do them or what worked well for whatever particular show it was. And we kind of haggled around a little bit about, how much time we were going to need in between each one due to set. And, then I think, didn't we vote on this in March, I think? March, because it went into the notes in see how they run, so. So, anyway, that's it.
All the rights and royalties that, all the licenses have been applied for and received, all the rights and royalties that's been paid, and all the scripts are ordered. They're in transit somewhere. So I have scripts for 2 shows. I'm waiting on 3.
The next one, Finance Committee?
I did send out a report. I don't know if everyone had a chance to look at it. Let me ask.
It's been sent.
There we go. All right, so, like it stated, Finance Committee met the first Monday of the month on a pretty regular basis, consisting of myself, Ken, Heather, Lynn, and Kathy. Most frequently, we would discuss going over any discrepancies in finances, whether it's something that's missing a label or something that somebody feels was improperly labeled, just to make sure it gets recorded properly so that we maintain transparency as a board. The things of note that we did start this year is that within the last year and a half, a Dropbox was started for online record keeping. We discussed and met to find out what an endowment fund it was and discussed the possibility of one. And there was the proposal that was implemented of having a paid archivist to keep track of notes from pictures and stuff like that from shows.
Thank you.
Turn on the AC.
Is that the tenant building one that we're talking about?
No, Finance Committee. Actually, it's on the list there.
Oh,
It's on
That's
the
an
list.
ad hoc.
There's several things that are on the list.
Okay,
The next one is Capital Campaign?
yeah, so I put out a report on the capital campaign. I have changed one thing since then that, I had Summers listed under business and John Criswell wanted to see that moved to individual. So I think
what?
Rita and Dennis Summers are orthodontists, but I didn't realize they'd be retired. So I put them as a business donation. John Fishbaugh wanted to see that as an individual, so I've moved those numbers around. The board has some decisions to make, and I'm not suggesting we talk about it now, but we do have some decisions to make going forward with the capital campaign for phase 2. I laid out kind of what some of the finances around that are, so I ask you to look at that report, and then also it's just interesting to see where the money from, we've had a pretty successful fundraising to date on that, and it's interesting to see where the money comes from. Just kind of need to look at the stats, that's all I have.
And Monday is the meeting. Monday is the city meeting.
Oh, yes, on the, thank you, on the, is it the 15th, that's the Monday, or the 16th? The 16th, the city council meets to, consider awarding us the, facade renovation dollars. And it's at 5:30 at City Hall, and, you know, they do like board attendance at those, and I will go, but everyone is welcome. This looks good. I would take 2 seconds, but it looks like it. But then, yes.
I have, I guess I'm calling just a dispute with the wording. There's 2 places, one is on page 2, the other is, I think it's on page 9, where you seem to indicate that eventually our finance committee assumed responsibility for managing the campaign. I checked through the notes when we dissolved the ad hoc committee, and it was that the finance committee would advise, not assume management.
So who's managing?
Basically, those people who have been working at you and Ken principally. It was also Randy and Heather.
Well, you know,
it just
it has to go somewhere in terms of responsibility. We can't have an ad hoc finance committee out there that's not tied to our committee structure. So it makes the most sense to put it in finance, but if the board wants to put it somewhere else. But just to have that's a huge amount of money we're talking about.
That's very true,
It
but
impacts
the members of the committee did not agree to doing it as a whole.
Well, and that goes back to another issue I raised in the board, is that we have, so we don't have the board 100% behind that campaign. And going forward without that 100% is a problem. We had a vote that said we would do that, and not everybody voted for it. We thought we could go forward without, you know, majority rules, but that's been a problem since the beginning, so we need to deal with that as a board, just saying. Because I can't go out there raising money for a campaign if I don't feel the board is behind me.
Well, the other problem with that is people have donated money for the
Sure,
lobby
I know.
part, and so that's frustrating as well, to go out and ask friends for donation and they give high dollar donations and then, well, no, we're not actually gonna do this, so.
Okay, I also think that this is, again, a situation that should be kept for a general meeting rather than the annual meeting. But yes, I agree, it does need to be discussed, because I think, my personal feeling is I think we need to take a clear-eyed view of how we are going to proceed, rather than just accepting what we've established. But that's my opinion, and I would like to just say that I think this is more for a discussion for a general meeting rather than the annual meeting.
I would just like to add in, since I don't know if I would make it to any more meetings, that it would be a sad, sad situation to see all this money raised and it go by the wayside, and all the work that's been put into it already, and the promises that have been made and everything else. To see this go away would be sad. So I encourage you to keep going with this. Tenant building.
Tenant building, nothing to add. Committee never met. Committee is very small and inactive. I did make occasional walkthroughs of the building, just make sure that there's not any vagrants or anything like that. That needs to be addressed immediately.
Yeah.
One comment I was approached by Josh Walski, And he told me informally that occasionally he gets calls from various places looking for properties that are available in the downtown area. And nothing formal, nothing definite, but there are people who will occasionally call and looking for something. And I indicated to him that we would be perfectly willing to listen if anyone comes up with something that makes sense, something that can turn our albatross into a swan.
Yeah, and this is something we have discussed about the possibility of splitting the building so that we can keep the storage, but that we can, for lack of a better term in my head right now, cut off the dead weight of a building that's not being utilized.
Sponsorship was,
It has not been acted.
yeah, bylaws.
The bylaws committee started in January of 2021, and we worked. It was myself, Nancy Pearson, Ashley Nelson, and Heather Spear. We worked very diligently and very hard with a lot of meetings and email discussion once COVID was underway to redo what had become a document that did not fit our needs anymore. My report in Dropbox outlines significant updates and where they were made, and the fact that we created a policies and addendums section to allow easier ways of addressing changes that needed to be done without having to redo the entire bylaws. Future plans, continued updating of policies and procedures as they reflect necessary changes and additions. Other than that, it is an official deal. Everybody should have gotten one emailed to them, and there is a copy actually there's several copies on hand in the office if anybody needs to. And when and if we have new members, they will also receive copies of the bylaws.
Recommend everybody take a chance to read them, so you have an understanding of what has been agreed to in there, so.
Thank you. Gala?
Well, the gala was a success. It was a little hard to move along, as a lot of, people like to pay at the door and kind of are used to that method in some regard, but, all in all, no, we didn't make any money, but, we weren't too far off. Well, maybe $600 off, but,
We kind of knew we weren't doing it to make money though,
Right.
so.
we were doing it to celebrate our first 50 seasons, and so, and now we're on to the next 50, so, there you go.
So those that are around in 50 years, you got a game and a plan. Okay?
Yeah,
So start
exactly, so, keep in mind. Well, I'll make sure you have the notes, but anyway, make sure you put out.
I was around for the first 50 seasons. I will. Yeah, I'll only be 66.
Yeah, right, you don't need to talk like that then.
No.
Well, anyway, unless you're on the show.
Oh, the
So
bar's been
anyway,
set, so.
other than that, thank you all for those of you who helped. Yeah, all good.
All right, moving along. Sorry.
Building.
Oh,
Yeah.
building, I'm sorry, yeah, I forgot about you.
You yelled at me for not having anything put together. Didn't even make the list, so I see where we rate.
Yeah.
Tim.
Well,
Really, the only thing we did was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but we emptied out a ton of old crap. So that's the easiest way to put it.
And
So-
that heater thing or whatever you want to call it, that, what
Oh,
was that
yeah.
big huge?
Well, that radiator?
The
Yeah.
radiator, we got rid of the radiator, so, yes, we got 2 dumpsters hauled out?
stuff.
Yes.
Wow.
Which is so thank you all who helped with that.
Emptied out the men's bathroom downstairs.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
Stuff
that's
to
right.
that.
Oh, and then we added a washer and dryer, so.
got the letter from Justice Rogan, so that we could go forward with it, I thought. And didn't, Tim just put in a request for several things that we need
Yeah.
backstage. So
Well, yeah,
you're
those are
looking
less.
No, they're important.
And, we're getting, bids on the doors.
Doors.
Yeah, lots of good things going on.
Lots of projects.
I started,
Being the step of the year.
look, I started all this stuff and gave it to you.
All right, thank you. Did I miss
You track
any committees? I
records.
apologize for those
I
three.
I have one that isn't a committee, but was requested by Nancy. She had asked Kenneth if there was a way of finding out what we had done as far as rentals for the year, and Ken provided that. The rentals that we had done for the year was, the downtown business had a movie night for a special, documentary they did. The Good Talk, Good Night Live, that's what it's called now. What is Connect, podcast rental, and then a concert rental for Jim Hyman was what was done during the course of the year. So,
I just wanted to let you know, just
Total $900, I believe.
yeah, $900.
Was it?
All right, moving on, if nobody else has any committee things. Okay, so with elections, as it stands right now, we have one person running for each office, but that doesn't have to be the case. If somebody would still like to, how do I word this? Help me out here.
Right in?
Have themselves or nominate or
Actually,
self-nominate or.
What the process is, we need to have 3 calls.
Yeah.
3 calls for any additional nominees.
Is there any additional nominees for the 4 offices? Is there any additional nominees for the 4 offices? Is there any additional nominees for the 4 offices?
You don't have to beg.
No, but as an actor, you have to do an A take, a B take, and a C take.
Just have to see how it sounded better. Okay, with that being the case, I would say we should vote as a slate president for Edward Montez.
Oh, sorry. I would just like to hear from the board.
Sure, yes, please.
Why they want that office.
Okay,
Yes.
president, that would be Ed. Why do you want to be president?
Well, I would like to see the theater move forward. One of my main goals as president of the board would be to increase board membership. I do know that we have a board that has seen a lot of people on for many a number of years. We have lost a few members most recently, and I know that if the theater is going to function, I'd like to see it function in the future, that we do need to up our ranks. We need to get fresh faces on the board, people who are new to the community, who can bring fresh ideas, such as the Spears had when they joined, they moved here. And we recently had an uptick in volunteers of people who are passionate about the theater. And I believe it would be a shame to not ask them if they would like to join our numbers.
Okay, thank you. Vice President Ashley.
I would like to be able to have our board work together more, just be able to discuss things a little clearer, and get our audience growing. I want our audience to grow. We need new faces in our audience as well as our board. And I want to be able to find people that will help us get more people to come here and just enjoy what we are doing here.
Secretary.
Well, for the past year and a half, I have worked really hard to organize all of the administrative paperwork, I guess I'll put it that way, and have it accessible to anybody who, whether it's a board member or somebody who just wants to have the information available. And I think I've done a good job, and I have tried to be, in my writing of the notes, I have done everything I can to be as non-committal when I write the notes. Even if it's something that I personally don't necessarily believe in, I try my best to be as accurate about the way it is presented and things like that. And I hope to maintain that because I love doing paperwork.
I would kill myself.
Treasurer?
with that.
I've been doing this for a while, and somehow I never quite imagined myself in the role of a bookkeeper or accountant. Even though I'm not an accountant, I have learned an awful lot about accounting over the past few years. And I tend to be a little obsessive about record keeping and details. So I think our books are in pretty good order. And I flatter myself to think that I have something to do with getting them there. And like others have said, growing the audience, growing the theater, it's all part of it. I get to see up close and personal what kind of growth we see in audience because I see the numbers. And yeah, numbers are a little dry, and trying to read financial statements is not everybody's cup of tea. But I try to put it in a position, present it in such a way that it's readable and it can be understood. And I'm happy to keep doing it, and I'll do my best.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that being said, again, I'd like to take a vote as a whole slate. President would be voting for Edward Montez, Vice President Ashley Nilsson, Secretary Lynn Knickerbocker, and Treasurer Ken Harstead. All those in favor of electing those four as the executive board members?
We called upon Justin and Phil especially today. Is there any way that we can at least,
Incorporate them?
Incorporate what's going on, maybe if.
Justin, could you count our
I
hands
move to
as
close
we-
nominations and move forward with the slate of candidates. I am totally comfortable with not counting.
You can count our hands.
Yeah.
You just have our hands up.
He was
We did
helping me
have
with the
more
lights,
nominations
so.
at one point, so we did need you. And you never know what, somebody could run.
And he has helped out with
Here,
the meeting.
so thank you. Okay, so if you are okay with that, we'll move forward with the elections. All those in favor of those four as the executive board, please raise your hand.
Justin, please tell them if this feels weird.
All those opposed? All those abstain?
Vote for everyone
Did
else.
we have any absentee ballots that came in?
Oh, yes, sorry, Nancy did vote for, yes.
Yes.
Nancy voted yes.
I'm sorry, as the official vote taker, the slate of candidates failed.
And
Start again.
Justin's taking. See, if you're gonna do that.
Right, yeah.
Justin is now president of the MRP board.
President, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. Congratulations.
No, thank
She
you.
said she was gonna be gone and I never reached out.
We don't
to
have
her.
enough
I
on your
reached
plate
out
already.
to her and I
Let's
said,
give a little
just
more.
Contact Heather.
Yeah.
Well, we can squeeze a few more keys on that, please.
So it was 10 here present.
Okay,
so
so
that's-
one did not.
That's one absent.
You can't have two cooks in the kitchen with the whole
okay.
four of them are one.
Motion has carried. Congratulations, you four.
Just one-
New business.
Can I add one point?
Oh, sure.
Just for the purposes of the bank records, I need to have everybody of the new officers sign a copy of the minutes that I can take to the bank so I can get the signature cards changed. Okay.
Okay, so new officers, well, actually all of them anyway, sign copy of minutes.
Yep.
I can get that done.
I need to give the bank a copy of the minutes.
Did you count Aisha? Because I know that Aisha gave Ken her proxy, so I don't know.
Could not do a
Oh, she did.
proxy.
Okay.
Proxy is not allowed during an executive
Okay.
election.
She did give it over the bus. I didn't do it good.
You are Biden?
And I did, when she said that, I did let her know
Okay.
that she couldn't do it that way, but she could do an absentee ballot by contacting Heather.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that she knew that there was an option. So,
Any new business
yes.
that is pertinent to annual meeting?
New
It's
business?
time sensitive.
Okay.
Not the annual business, but it's time sensitive.
Okay.
Volunteering for Clue.
Please.
Need volunteers for Clue. I have a lot of people who are doing the cleanup, who are working on the cleanup prior, although I need somebody to vacuum and rewind chairs in the front part of the house and then sweep and mop in the auditorium floors.
Maybe we can just pass it around and people can write their name down.
That's for that. And then I have for the performances. Ken, did you know which day you were gonna be not
The
available?
20th.
Okay, so you aren't gonna be available on the 20th, but you are,
I will do the rest.
14th, okay.
Dorian,
So,
if he can do the boards.
yes,
he
if
just needs somebody to
people
walk him through
would
it. Okay.
fill in
He'll
the
be here Monday.
blanks as much as possible, that would be fantastic. I'll send that down to you. I know some people have already contacted me. And then just for, everything against the wall is our new brochure, which we handed out during the MagicCon. We handed out, what did I say, 56 brochures. And then we also tried the Clue the Musical business cards. So these should be taken as well. On one side is our information, general information. On the other side is make your reservation today for Clue the Musical and the information.
Oh,
And redeem this card at the Mouse for Players concession stand for a free popcorn or drink. So,
And we gave out 72 of
we
those during
gave
the
out
MagicCon.
72 of these.
They make a lot of popcorn.
So please grab a few of those and hand them out as you can. And that's the time sensitive.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Yes.
She wants to go.
As the
People
newly
waiting for
elected president, thank you, I would like to say something. As we all know, Heather and Randy will be leaving us shortly.
and Abby.
And Abby.
And Abby.
And Abby.
No,
right
no,
there.
no, don't forget
And-
Noah.
and I cannot,
Do we get
Abby,
to
no,
Noah?
that's the same.
and
I want Noah.
Yeah, we need our
We're gonna
mascot.
keep them both so they have to come back and help.
Gotta keep Grizz though.
Where is Noah?
I'll be Chris.
He's at home.
Fine with me.
I do want to say you guys will be sort of. I know this goes for everyone. I know it doesn't get said enough, but we would not be where we are without everyone's participation. And you're all really appreciated to be here.
Heather's the reason I'm on the board.
So now a question
She's
regarding,
going for it.
what is your status of being around?
So can I
I
adjourn
am
this meeting
always
first?
around, so.
I'm going to adjourn the annual meeting and then serve president with a very